We interrupt this program to bring you an important announcement.
It's story time!
The Hierophant no longer guards the gate. He opens it wide. As the Age of Aquarius unfolds, wisdom flows freely, awakening the teacher within all of us. Hello guys, welcome in. It's me, Sunni. I'm back. This is the first episode of our supernatural stories. And yes, you guessed it, it's going to be a supernatural story about the Age of Aquarius. What is this Age of Aquarius? What does it really mean? What are people even talking about? Is it taboo? Is it real? Is it trendy? What is it? Does anybody out there have supernatural stories to elaborate on, to please enlighten us, give us some information about what's going on? What is the real truth and the paranormal experience behind the Age of Aquarius? So, guys, welcome back. Stay a while, let's talk about it. This is a really exciting one because right before I was getting my story ready to talk to you guys, Spirit gave me some downloads about how to find the perfect information to give to you guys, because I don't really care how advanced and how knowledgeable you are. There is a story that I have that nobody else has, and it's going to help you move further, understanding this new journey that the human collective is now evolving into, or experiencing. So the Spirit gave me some information, and we're going to go over that. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the story right now, the supernatural story. And after that, I'm going to read to you what me and Spirit worked on together to give you this information about what it is that I saw, what it is that I witnessed, what I went through, and how it correlates, and how what it really means with the Age of Aquarius. Okay. So, are you ready? Okay. So, part one would be me telling the story, and then part two is about a little education, so now you can tie in, you can tie it all together, you know what I mean? Because I really feel that a lot of people have just been hearing about it, but they haven't really understood what it's like to see or experience it. Okay, so I don't know. I hope this would be a good story time to maybe paint the picture a little bit more brighter and clearer and unique for you. Okay, so as you know, we are shifting into a new age, and you guessed it, it's the new Age of Aquarius. What is that? So I have all the information, but the best way to start is to tell you the story. I was walking to let me just put it this way. Let me start it this way. Sorry. I was riding a four-wheeler. I live on a ranch, and I was shutting the gate because we didn't want to get the cows out. And I was trying to beat the dark. It was right before dark, so it was kind of like that, the sunset, and it was just getting a little dark, but I still could see the sun a little bit. So I hurried up, and I got the gate shut, and then I ran home. And I said, Dad, hey, I shut the gate for you because it's a big family ranch. We all live out here, a lot of land. And I said, all right, so you don't have to worry. He was like, thanks. He's like, oh, wait, did you lock it? I said, no. I was like, darn. I was like, I didn't lock it. I was trying to hurry. He's like, no, those cows can get through that gate. You gotta lock it. I'm like, oh, this is some smart cows. So I was like, all right, Pops. So my little daughter was 5 years old at the time, and she wanted to go on the four-wheeler with me. And so I was like, all right. So I had her on the four-wheeler with me, and we went back. And this time I had to put the flashlight, or the headlights on, because it was getting dark. So I went to the front gate, and I get off, and I lock the gate, And I don't know, I just happened to look up because it was so beautiful that night. Like all the stars, you know, when it's really dark out and you can literally see all the stars and how they're sparkling and it's bright and it just looks so majestic. So I stopped and paused, and my daughter was looking at me. She's like, Mom, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just looking at the stars. And she goes, yeah, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. And then I saw something happen up there that was quite unique and different. As I was just, you know, admiring the beauty in the stars or whatever, I happened to look at the star and it moved. Like it really moved. And I was like, huh. And I stayed there a little bit longer. And then I noticed that it was moving in a pattern that is not the way that stars move. So, of course, it got my better attention. So I started, while I was standing there a little bit longer trying to figure this out. And my daughter started kind of getting really upset, you know, how I was standing there watching this star, because she started figuring out that something, you know, abnormal was going on. So she started crying. And I was like, honey, I'm not trying to scare you. I was like, just something weird's going on. She's like, I don't care. Take me home. Take me home. So I took her home. I ran her home because it's a four-wheeler. Like, ran her home, dropped her off. I said, Dad, you gotta watch her, because she was only 5 at the time. So then I went back, because I was like, I gotta figure this out, you know, but I didn't want to freak my daughter out. But my daughter could tell by my reaction that I was like, whoa, you know, and she was watching me stare, like, and she just, you know, she knows something odd was going on. So when I got there, I looked at the star and it started moving again. It was like, I don't really know how to explain to you. It was going up, and then it was going down, then it was going left, and it was going right. And I'm talking about these were stars. And so then I started looking at the other star, and the other star started moving, you know, in different directions. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden, I don't know how to explain it to you, but like, I really don't know where to start this story, but I should tell you, like, that's why I did the introduction. It's like, I've always been connected to, you know, the unseen realms. I've always had supernatural experiences. I've always been connected, but this is just a different time. This is a different situation. This is a different story that I experienced from the rest of them. So I've always experienced, I've always been, connected, and I've always had experiences, but this is just a different time is all I can say. And so I will say that, you know, prior to me figuring out, I'm gonna tell you the rest of the story, but I just want to say before I tell you what it was, I had already gone through in 2019 a horrible experience. It was the tower moment. It was a divine intervention. At the time, did I know it? No. It was my time to be awakened by the Most High, to have another spiritual awakening, and the collapse of my old paradigm, and that's what God does, is collapse everything before they put you in isolation, because you're getting ready to shift. And so a lot of people, that's why they're here on this community, because we're getting ready to go through a huge transformation. We're getting ready to go through a huge spiritual awakening. And what happens before that? Shit crumbles, shit falls, things go chaotic, breakups. I mean, the worst of the worst could happen, because it's like the tower moment. That's the divine intervention. Everything crumbles and falls. So, I mean, it was bad. I had a horrible experience for 6 months in 2019. And then at the tail end of that, right before 2020, everything starts to shift a little bit, and I'm starting to get a little bit more nudge from spirit, a little bit more healing from my angels, a little bit more like, that's gone, so now we can come in. And you could literally feel the shift of the supernatural coming in to kind of lift you up, because it's the Holy Spirit working within you. Everybody knows that a spiritual awakening, you feel the supernatural, Holy Spirit work within you. Okay. So it's really a personal thing. But anyways, just want to let you know, this is right at the beginning, when I started to heal from like, oh my God, what was that? Why is everything bad happening to me? So that was finally leaving. The good things started coming in, but it was just the beginning of like the miracles, right? So that's where I was. My consciousness was starting to change. My heart was starting to heal. I was starting to get more back in alignment, with God, frequency, the universe, the cosmos. I was starting to reactivate my starseed origins. Like things were just starting to heal. So I was more in a better alignment. Okay. I was exiting the matrix. I was exiting false friends, false relationships. You get it. That's the crumbling. That was the tower moment. So when I went out there to go look at the star, I think that this is why it happened, y'all, is because I know it was, but at the time I was starting to have a change of perception and insight to what was going on in my life. So that's where I was mentally and physically. I was already on the precipice of a big change, and as I was getting more into alignment. So I was just feeling good, but I didn't know what was the next big thing that was going to happen until I saw the star. So that's when everything changed. I went to go shut a gate, looked up, the stars started moving, started going this way, started going this way, started getting this way. And then I looked at the other star. The other star was doing the same thing. And so what I realized is that the more I focused in, because my third eye was starting to get activated as well, I realized I was starting to enter another dimension, and I was starting to see clearer into what's on the other side of the veil. Because at first I'm like, yo, is that a spaceship? Is that am I getting ready to be abducted? Is that Superman? Is that a plane? Is that like, what is that? Because I know it's a star and I know those are stars, but they're moving and they're doing odd patterns that like I had never seen them do before. So at first, obviously I thought it was going to be something, man-made, or something that we could say, oh, that's what it is. It's just a plane. It's just an aircraft. It's just, just a spaceship or something. No. What happened next is that something supernatural happened with me, and my eyes locked in, and it went straight into another dimension, and I could literally see that star turn into a celestial being, like a divine being, like in another realm. Okay. And a lot of people are talking about to this day how they're not just stars up there. They are, when you change your frequency, you can leave the firmament. You can go outside of this planet Earth into another dimension, into another frequency, and then you start to see the layers of heaven. You start to see. So I feel like that's why a lot of people cannot see through the realms yet, because they haven't reached that, healing state, that they're not in alignment just yet. I feel that's where we are all going, guys. So that's why we got to keep up with our journey. But anyways, so I knew what was going on. I was like, oh my gosh, like my third eye, I'm breaking through the dimensions. I'm seeing what's really beyond the veil. Like I had to, it's like I'm turning my spiritual frequency knob up a higher, up a notch, as I dropped the density of the matrix and went through all that healing. Now my vibration is rising, so I'm starting to match angelic frequencies, and those stars were angels. They were celestial beings, because when I said it couldn't be a spaceship, it couldn't be this, it couldn't be that, I was like, I don't know. I was just watching them, and then I could see them going up and down stairs. Okay, it looked like stairs. And you know how they always say there's stairs in heaven. There's like stairways. Yeah, it looked like the guy or the girl, the celestial being, was holding a torch, like a flame, and was walking up and down the stairs. There was like, it turned into another realm of celestial divine beings, and they were moving around doing all kinds of stuff. So it just dawned on me that's what was happening. and it was a freaking miracle. It was an absolute miracle. I was blown away. But I knew that's what was happening because it was nothing man-made, okay? I mean, this was a phenomenon. This was supernatural. This was what was really happening. So I was like, I see it. They're moving around up there. So I stopped and I yelled at the top of my lungs. I said, I see you. I see you. And I screamed. You know, like you can go outside and you can scream and then it starts to echo really loud. They stopped and they turned around with like this light and they literally stood right. So instead of like this, when they heard me, they turned around like this and they took the light and they held it up like so the star moved up and they were like standing right over me and very still to let me know that they saw me too. And I just started crying. I was like, that's what's happening is I broke through the matrix. I broke through our dimensions. The 3D dimension. I'm in the higher dimensions, y'all. Like my 3D is activated. Now, I have always had the supernatural and the ability to connect with them, but this was the next level. So that's why because I already had a belief that they existed. I already knew. Like being a starseed, we already have angelic connections and we have communication, but they just come in different ways, right? But I always knew, you know, I was connected with the stars. Everything is sun, moons, and stars, around me. And I've always been considered a starseed because I can communicate. So, and I was right, So when they turned around and looked at me, it's like the star came closer. It kind of raised. It's kind of like a star and like a torch at the same time. I don't know what they're doing back there, but it's like a whole divine like realm and they're doing something. And so he turned around, looked at me and paused. And then like I said, I started crying. And then I was like, whoa. So then I moved to the left like this. They moved to the left. And then I stopped. I went to the beginning or to the middle, and then they moved to the middle, and then I moved to the right, and then they moved to the right. I mean, every which way they were following me. So it was kind of like we were communicating, and they were making every move that I was making. I'm not kidding you. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm making connection with, this is so cool because I had a breakthrough. I had finally broke through all the trauma. I healed my trauma. I trusted the Lord was taking me somewhere better. I just knew that, this supernatural thing was happening. It's time. So when I realized what I had done, what had just happened, I said, wow, I am meeting the divine beings face to face for in this type of magnitude for the first time, even though I've always had a connection and it's just different, guys. It's different. And so what I want to say is I just wanted to honor what was happening there because this was something huge. So I jumped on the four-wheeler. I ran back to the house as fast as I could, I jumped off. I went into the bathroom. I splashed my face with water. I was trying to fix my hair. And then I tried to put on something decent, wash my hands. I just tried to, look presentable, and I smacked my face. I was like, wow, this is really happening, guys. This is actually happening. I'm meeting them face to face. So I wanted to do a proper introduction. So I kind of was, because I was a mess. I was outside riding the four-wheeler. I didn't really care what I looked like, So, I just want to show you what happened, inside my world. This was nuts. I wanted to share this with people so bad, but it was just the beginning. So I didn't, I had to follow through with this on my own. But now that I'm on the other side, I can tell my stories. And this is all happening in alignment with what's going on now. This is exactly what's happening to a lot of people behind the scenes, and they'll be sharing their stories as well. So I was like, I want to go back out there and do this right. So I got dressed. I don't know what I did. I just tried to make myself look more decent and clean. Sorry, my nose gets itchy when I talk about the supernatural and I channel and stuff. It just happens. I do that when I do readings. So I went back out there and I found the star again when I was all cleaned up, or I felt decent, whatever, washed my hands. And when I found the star reconnected with me. It turned around and reconnected with me because it knew I had come back, the divine being. And I want you to know that all the stars were in alignment with that one star. They all started moving. They all started acknowledging me. And then they all started twinkling at me as well. Like it was my time to wake up. It was a beautiful welcome home ceremony. It just kind of was. It was the beginning of, the many, many other stories that are coming after this. But it was the biggest one. It's like showdown. He's getting ready to pop off, So I went out there, found the star. The star found me, and then I got on my knees. Like if you were to see the Messiah, how you get on your knees and you bend, and you bow. You bow. I bowed. I went down, I got on my knees in the middle of the pasture. I don't care who saw me. It didn't matter. It was me and the divine, and my miracle had arrived, so I didn't care. I got down on my knees and I bowed as if the Holy Spirit and the divine, the heaven, Messiah, God was right in front of me. I bowed down religiously, like holy. That's the type of energy I was feeling, and that's the type of energy they were conveying back to me. So I want to tell you that night it was very, very clear. There was no wind. There was no fog. It was just a very bright, it was very dark and clear. Like it was just clear weather. No rain, no fog, no, I live in South Florida. So of course no hail or snow or whatever. It was just very dark, so the stars were really shining, really, really bright. But when I did that, when I bowed down and did, my, I don't know what you want to call that. I just humbly, gave them my respects. When I got back up, do you know that from way up there where the star was, there was it was like they shot something at me, like I don't know, hang with me. I'm trying my best to describe this. There was like a frequency coming down. And as it got close and closer, it was a huge, big gust of cloud, like wind. And it came, and I was like kind of nervous watching it come at me, but I was like, whoa, but I knew it came from the star, and I knew what the star was. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to move. I'm going to check this out. This is a phenomenon. This is a miracle. This is something I've never seen before. So as it got closer, it came all the way down, and this is supernatural. We're talking about the supernatural. It came down to me, and when it came down to me, it passed right through my body and went on the other side. And I remind you, anything way to the left, to the right, way to the front or back, it was all just a very clear night that night. Okay? It didn't come from anywhere else but from then. So I kind of watched it come through my body, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then it left. And then I hear telepathically, that's one blessing. I was like, oh my God. Next thing you know, I look back up, another one came. It starts off kind of like, I don't know, like a swirling thing, and it's coming down through the air. And as it gets closer and closer, it looks like a big gust of cloud, like a big cloud. And I'm not sure, maybe it was some kind of spirit, like they threw towards me. I don't know. It was supernatural, but you could describe it as cloud. So they threw another one, and then when it got to me, it went right through me and through the back of me. And then I heard, that's blessing number 2. I was like, oh my gosh. And yes, guys, it was a sense of like, do I even deserve this? Like, what's going on? I was shocked. I was like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people say when they meet the Messiah or when they meet some kind of supernatural godlike experience, I've heard that a lot of people say, I don't feel worthy. That's the first thing I've heard. I've heard that for a long time. I don't know let me know in the comments if you heard that too. But a lot of people who have had supernatural awakenings have, when they really met, like a godlike energy, they say, when they felt the Holy Spirit, they kind of felt like I wasn't worthy or whatever, because it's so pure. It's the Most High, you know, what can you say? So, I was already kind of like, wow, you know, just humbled, you know. And then I'm also thinking like, shit, ain't nobody gonna believe me about this one. But, you know, whatever. If they want to be a bunch of Karens, they can be a bunch of Karens. Nobody has time for this immaturity. Like, you know, it's like, this is what's happening, and it's happening all over the world. And I think a lot of people have not stepped up yet to tell their testimonies, but I feel like a lot of people will start hearing about these things. So anyways, guess what? I stood, when that passed, another one came. Yeah, 3. The same way. It spiraled. And then it when it came down towards me and it got closer, it was another gust of like cloud, like wind, and it went right through me. And I heard, that's blessing 3. And I'm like, okay, I really felt kind of again like yeah, there was a sense of like not worthy. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong. I know I love the Most High, but I'm telling you, when you meet this type of like supernatural, you just, you know, like, it's so pure and so powerful. It's like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like, I don't deserve this, but you know, you do, you know, it's just something that we do, you know. And I can't explain it until you're in that situation, but that's just the way I felt. I can't really explain any more about that, but and I was like, what do you bless me with? You know, I'm kind of like, what were these 3 big blessings? But I know it sounds absolutely insane, because guess what? It's supernatural. You can't explain the supernatural. You can only kind of go back over and tell people like what it was. So when that happened, I fell back to my knees, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I heard that this was just the beginning. And it was, because that was in 2020, when the star moved. That was a barrier that I had broken. This was like the first time that I ever been to a certain level by myself, you know, not, you know, somebody teaching me about esoteric knowledge or whatever. I had went to a dimension, a whole new divine understanding, multi-dimensional space by myself. And I had touched base with the divine frequency and a divine beings, something supernatural by myself. I discovered it by myself. And that is Aquarius, is the star, is the consciousness coming down. And so anyways, there's a lot more. I'm going to break up these stories, okay? Because after, I want to say that after that happened, Armageddon starts to pop off. So, you know, new levels bring new devils. So the rest of the stories are going to start getting really heated up. Like I said, I've already written a book about it, but I like to talk to them. I like to break them up in different episodes for you guys. And so I want to tell you what happened next is going to blow your mind. I already know a lot of you guys like, yeah, right, this couldn't have happened. I promise you, I put my hand on the Bible. I have no reason to lie. It is the most magnificent thing I have ever experienced. But this is what they're trying to tell you guys. There is a new timeline. The supernatural is becoming natural. And that's why the angels want me to tell you guys. And they have given me the information to read to you guys that will help you connect my story with like the wisdom and the truth, the esoteric knowledge that's behind this movement, this new age movement. So it's like we are reaching barriers and dimensions and that we have never reached before, and the heavens are reaching down to us. And I think some of us are going to get there before others do, but we can help guide and help translate the language of the divine to other people. But yeah, if like that's crazy, right? But the story flips. It goes from, you know, divine blessings to hell and angels, demons and angels. Because I want to tell you that when the opposing forces, the dark side sees you wake up and that you make divine, connection, and then you bring down that truth and anger into the earthly plane. They don't like that. So then a supernatural spiritual warfare started happening over me. And I want to tell you what happens next when I receive my blessings. That's when shit flips the script. It gets crazy. And the other supernatural things that happen, I want to talk about on my next episode. Okay. So that's what episode 2 is going to be about. I'm going to go down the timeline and I'm going to explain, how this unfolded, because it was like I was on another planet, guys. I couldn't even make sense of what my life was like before any of this happened, because I was in a supernatural twilight zone for a long time. People had to call me to find out where I was, what was going, because I was in the middle of the twilight zone. I literally went on a magic carpet ride, and it was like I was almost spiritually abducted. I'm not even playing. It was like I was spiritually abducted, and I brought back so much truth and wisdom. But I just want to say that just because, we're filled with light and we have all these good things happen, that's just like an automatic for us to start getting attacked by the dark forces, because they're at a spiritual warfare and they don't want us bringing back any type of truth or, that's like truth or a piece of evidence beyond the veil to show other people. So what happens next is going to blow your mind. If you guys can make it past what I was talking about and the 3 clouds and all that, I'll meet you and I hope to see you at episode 2, because it's going to be crazy. So in closing off, guys, I'm going to read to you about the Age of Aquarius and what happened to me. This is where the Hierophant in traditional tarot meets Aquarius. Okay, this is going to break it down esoterically with knowledge. I'm just going to read you something real quick. I'm going to show some images on the screen. I'm going to edit it and put images on the screen for you so you guys can clearly see what it is I'm showing you, and you can listen to what I'm going to read for you. Okay, so yeah, let me go ahead and get started with that, and I will see you guys stay tuned. I want you guys to hear this, though. I want to read this to you. And then I will see you guys for part 2, what happens next with the supernatural story. Let's break down this new age of Aquarius a lot further, because this is when the Hierophant and the Age of Aquarius come together. Something powerful happens. But first, what is the Hierophant? The Hierophant is the 5th major arcana card, sitting between the Emperor and the Lover's card in the traditional tarot deck. The Hierophant is the spiritual teacher and mentor. He represents a guide, a priest, or a channel of divine wisdom, tradition, and orthodoxy. The Hierophant is linked and established with institutions, churches, spiritual orders, and long-held belief systems. He is also the bridge between realms. He serves as a mediator between heaven and earth, delivering sacred truths and knowledge. The initiation. The card of the Hierophant often signifies the beginning of a spiritual journey, entering into higher teachings, rituals, and secret wisdom. In the older tarot decks, he is often shown with 2 disciples at his feet, symbolizing learning, tradition being passed down, and the seeker entering into alignment with divine law. Now, when we flip this card into the new age of Aquarius context, you guessed it, something powerful happens. Aquarius energy is about innovation, breaking structures, individuality, cosmic awareness, and collective unity. So how does the Hierophant translate this? From dogma to direct connection. In the Piscean age, the Hierophant symbolized the following spiritual systems through external authority, church, guru, and tradition. But in the Aquarian age, it represents moving away from rigid structures and instead tapping into your inner Hierophant, your own divine wisdom. From institutions to now community and networks, Aquarius thrives in collective knowledge, open source wisdom, and shared consciousness. The Hierophant becomes less about one person holding the keys and more about sacred knowledge flowing freely among awakened souls. He goes from being secrecy to being transparent. When the Hierophant once guarded mystery schools and hidden teachings, the Aquarian current is breaking those veils. The knowledge of the cosmos, energy work, and spiritual technologies are becoming available to all who seek. And they go from hierarchy to equality. The traditional Hierophant placed himself above others as a divine authority. But the Aquarian Hierophant reminds us that every soul is a sovereign channel of source, capable of accessing the higher realms. Now, what is the Aquarian Hierophant archetype? In this new light, the Hierophant is evolving into a cosmic bridge that can help humanity integrate ancient truths with futuristic wisdom, I should say. It is a teacher of inner gnosis, reminding us to trust our own direct downloads, intuition, and cosmic intelligence. Also is a guide of spiritual technology where tools like astrology, energy healing, DNA activation, and sacred geometry awaken collective ascension. It's almost like the Hierophant is stepping down from the pulpit and joining the circle, no longer the gatekeeper of the sacred, but a fellow traveler and activator of divine remembrance. So, in short, guys, the Hierophant once stood for outer authority and tradition, but in the age of Aquarius, he transforms into a symbol of inner wisdom, liberated spirituality, and a collective awakening. All right? So, let's see. That's what I was trying to say, is that, like, I did this all on my own. It's like, instead of me having to go to church, the heavens literally just opened up for me, guys. And it's like, this is what Spirit's saying, is the Hierophant no longer guards the gate. He opens it wide. As the age of Aquarius unfolds, wisdom flows freely, awakening the teacher within all of us. So, it's from dogma and, to direct connection. So it's like times are shifting and the supernatural is becoming natural. So, that is what I wanted to share with you. So now you can make the connection about Aquarius. Aquarius is the star. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, which that is the star. And I wanted to tell you my supernatural about the star and who we really are, what we're connected to, and that we are to evolve into a much more higher frequency than how we are now. And that's why we're all evolving and having this spiritual awakening. And it is ironic because I am a Taurus, which is the Hierophant card. So in tarot, I am the Hierophant, and I am delivering this information to you, which I thought was also, a little extra bonus. But guys, stay tuned for episode 2, because when that drops, because it's going to be, oh gosh, it's going to be crazy, because after that first experience, it gets kicked up a notch and the script flips. It's absolutely insane. So, thank you guys for being here. I hope you understand, what the truth about the Age of Aquarius actually means. And if you guys have any questions, link them in the comment section down below, and I'll try to answer them if you have any questions or anything. But if not, I hope you guys are doing well and you are kicking some ass, and stay tuned for the next one, and I'll see you then. All right, bye guys.